Safari Week is an event hosted every year by Absol Blogs where shiny hunters hit their zone or marsh of choice for some risky shiny hunting. Since you need a shiny Pokemon and a chance to flee, that eliminates the Gen 1 Safari Zone and the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire Safari Zone. The eligible zones are Fire Red and Leaf Green, Ruby Sapphire and Emerald, Diamond Pearl and Platinum, Heart Gold Soul Silver, and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. How do you know what to hunt? Well, in this video I will be giving you some ideas, along with the pros and cons of each zone and some helpful tips. All my sources will be linked in the description if you want to do any further research. This video took a lot of time to make, and since this is my second channel, it's hard to justify spending that much time here instead of on anime content, so if you liked it, please like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. Thanks! So let's start off with the Fire Red and Leaf Green Safari Zone. The classic zone. Here you'll find many shiny hunters busting out their collection of GBAs for extremely fast encounters. Kanto offers the simplest safari experience. Unlike other regions, there aren't any special gimmicks that spice up the encounters, so every trip will be consistent. The list of potential shinies is a very impressive one, so the lack of gimmicks isn't an issue. Like their sister zone in Hoenn, the Gen 3 games benefit from cloning, which is a touchy subject. With many low-leveled, unevolved Pokemon like Nidoran in the zone, trading to Emerald to clone can be a fun way to spice up your next playthrough. You could either complete the evolutionary line with one shiny, or use the clones in new playthroughs and keep the original one pure. Another pro is the inclusion of multiple rare spawns depending on the area. There are many 1 and 4% encounters that can be an attractive challenge for the Kanto residents. The encounters also go by very quickly. It only takes a few seconds to encounter a Pokemon and then flee. Kanto even has a few overlooked shinies. What do Gyarados and Paris have in common? They both have unique shinies only in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Despite being an undervalued shiny because of Johto, Gyarados is orange instead of red in these games. It's even red in the Hoenn games in every game since. Shiny Paris is usually red with red mushrooms, but in Fire Red and Leaf Green it becomes bronze with the yellow mushrooms. The cons are pretty limited. The step count can feel fairly short, especially if you're traveling outside the central area to hunt. Each area offers pretty much the same Pokemon with changing rare spawns, so which area you choose has very little impact unless you want a rare or a Rhyhorn. The rare Pokemon are also some of the lowest levels, so there are no repel tricks. Some Pokemon like Kangaskhan also have better shinies in literally every other game, but cloning and trading can help you get a nice silver Kangaskhan in no time. Is Kanto for you? If so, let's run through some of the best encounters. The Bulbapedia article will be in the description for the exact information on every Pokemon. The central area may be the best since there are no wasted steps traveling. Since most areas are similar, let's start with the rare encounters. Fire Red, Leaf Green split Scyther and Pinsir as their 4% encounter, while Chansey is the 1% in both games. Parasect is 5, Venonat 15, and Rhyhorn is 20%. These Pokemon are only in a couple areas each. Nidoran and Execute are a staple of every area, yes, every area. Here, I recommend hunting for Rhyhorn or Venonat, and whichever game has the big bug type you prefer. Area 1 to the east introduces Kangaskhan as the new 4% and has the unique Paris at 15%. The 1% in Area 1 are Scyther or Pinsir. Venonat and Rhyhorn are both replaced by Doduo, who has a 20% encounter rate. Area 2 to the north holds possibly the most sought-after regular Safari Pokemon from any region. The 4% Pokemon is Chansey, with the 1% being Tauros. Rhyhorn is back with Paris and Venomoth. Venomoth is at level 32, which is one of the only repel tricks available. Area 3 to the west is the only area I have found a shiny in the last 4 years, being Venonat. This area trims out Rhyhorn and the Paris line. The 4% is Tauros and the 1% is Kangaskhan. Doduo, Venonat, and Venomoth join them along with Execute and Nidoran, who again are in every area. Now, you might have seen a lot of water Pokemon. Well, every area has the exact same water encounters, so they get their own section. Surfing is 100% for Psyduck in Fire Red and Slowpoke in Leaf Green. The old rod always gives you Magikarp, but the good rod introduces Poliwag and Goldeen. The Super Rod makes Dratini 15% and Dragonair 1%, with Psyduck or Slowpoke being 4% for some reason. There aren't many tips for this classic zone. No abilities like Suction Cups work before Pokemon Emerald. I believe Sweet Scent will auto-trigger an encounter, but I've never done it personally in the Safari Zone. The encounter times are really fast, so Sweet Scent might actually be slower, but it won't consume your steps. When it comes to Chansey and the other hard-to-catch Pokemon, Professor Rex has a great resource on how to optimize catching them. With his method, Chansey, for example's odds of capture go from around 10% up to 19%. The video will be in the description. Next up is Hoenn. The Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire zone doesn't count, so we're focused on original Gen 3. The Pokemon here all share a 15% chance to flee. This is a huge incentive to hunt in Hoenn. The list of encounters is also pretty good, although if you're hunting in Ruby or Sapphire you miss out on a lot of them. There are also Pokeblock feeders that can influence the flee rates of each Pokemon down to even 0%, but more about that in the tips section. We just touched on it, but the pros and cons of the Hoenn Safari Zone are possibly the most one-sided of any zone. There are many rare Pokemon available with many different encounter types. The Acrobike allows you to ignore the step limit, the flee rates are a low 15% and can even be lowered to 5 or 0%. In Emerald, overworld abilities can be used. In Emerald, cloning is also an option. The only con is that the Acrobike can take a little while for encounters. So what Pokemon are here that are so incredible? Area 1 and 2 are identical, but 2 has water. Area 2 is the basic area with shinies that are nice, but you kinda have to love the Pokemon to hunt here. Oddish, Gloom, Pikachu, Doduo, Natu, Girafarig, and Wobbuffet are all in the grass, while Psyduck is all you will find surfing, and each rod gives Magikarp and Goldeen. I am personally hunting here in Sapphire for a Girafarig. Area 3 makes Gloom more common and adds Dodrio at 5%. Rhyhorn and Pinsir both make the trip to Kanto, with higher encounter rates being 30% for Rhyhorn and 5% for Pinsir, and there's still no Repel trick. Area 4 mirrors Area 3 with their birds being Natu and Xatu. Pinsir is replaced by Heracross and Rhyhorn is replaced by Phanpy. Geodude is also now available from Rock Smash. Area 5 is where things get interesting. Only in Emerald, the Safari Zone expands with 2 new areas filled with Johto Pokemon, and you can actually Repel Trick for some of them. The 5% encounters are Hoothoot, Gligar, Snubbull, and Stantler. The 10% are Spinarak, which I got last year after 30,000, and Aipom. The most common Pokemon are Mareep and Sunkern at 30%. Surfing gives you Marill at 39%, Wooper at 60%, and Quagsire at 1%. The Super Rod can catch a Remoraid at 59% or an Octillery at 1%. Area 6 has Hoothoot, Pineco, Houndour, and Miltank at 5%, Ladybug and Sunkern at 10%, with Teddiursa and Aipom as 30%. There is no water, but Shuckle can now be found with Rock Smash. Hoenn has quickly grown into my favorite Safari Zone, so here are some quick tips. Hoenn has a lot of them. In Pokemon Emerald, pick up a Chinchou underwater on Route 126 that has the ability Illuminate. This will make your encounters come faster, so no more worrying about the Acrobike. You will also be able to catch a Pikachu or Mareep with Static if you plan on hunting one of them. If you're fishing, make sure to revive a Lileep or catch an Octillery for Suction Cups to guarantee encounters. You can fish a Remoraid up in the zone or revive a Root Fossil from the desert. Next, here's a list of some useful Repel tricks. Area 2, level 29 for Wobbuffet, Area 3, level 31 for Dodrio and Gloom, or Area 4 at the same level for Xatu and Gloom. Area 5, level 39 for Stantler and Gligar, or level 40 for just Gligar. Area 6, level 39 for Houndour or Miltank, or level 40 for just Miltank. Now for the cloning glitch. Head to the Battle Tower in Pokemon Emerald's Battle Frontier. Deposit the Pokemon you want to clone into a box, I usually use an empty box. Close the PC and save. Then open the PC and withdraw the Pokemon. Head to the first staff member and talk to them to start a challenge. Enter any Pokemon and confirm. When she asks you if you would like to save, say yes. But when the actual save screen appears, simply turn your game off. When you boot up your game, you'll have the Pokemon in your party and in the box. Lastly, we have Pokeblocks. There are 2 videos in the description you can check out, but here are the basics of what I've been using. Create a green bitter Pokeblock using a Rostberry and an Oranberry, and then create a red spicy Pokeblock using a Rostberry with his friendly old man in Verdanturf Town. With these Pokeblocks, preferably a lot of both, head to the Safari Zone and save before you enter. When you're ready to start hunting, place a green bitter Pokeblock in the feeder and follow this flowchart. You'll be able to bring the Pokemon's flee rate from 15% to either 5 or 0%, which is huge for Pokemon like Miltank that just won't stay in the Safari Ball. Hoenn was kind of long, so let's take a break in Sinnoh to cool off, but don't get too comfortable since Johto is a very long one as well. The Sinnoh Great Marsh is a lovely area with slow walking, mud, bad Pokemon, a frustrating gimmick, and repeats Hoenn's flaws of keeping most of the cool Pokemon for Platinum. Pros and cons. The Pokemon are fairly low leveled in the Great Marsh, which can make them great for building up your next team for a playthrough. The rotating Pokemon can bring excitement, and if you mess with your clock, you can even lock them in for 24 hours. The dual slot also allows for special encounters. Unfortunately, the Great Marsh isn't all that great most of the time. The walking speed is horrible, the encounter rates are low for any of the good Pokemon, you'll run out of steps every 5 seconds, and Platinum has all the good stuff. And by all the good stuff, I mean 3 Pokemon. But hey, at least the rotating Pokemon fix Diamond and Pearl, right? Sort of. There are cool new Pokemon, but half the time you'll end up with a Wooper or Starly. Pokemon literally everywhere in the Sinnoh region, including the Great Marsh on a normal day. Even the saving grace known as the dual slot only gives Arbok for every area. What's the point of having different areas if they're all the exact same? The Great Marsh is pretty dedicated to being the worst Safari Zone, but it does have some cool Pokemon even if they are a pain to get. Every area is filled with Wooper, Psyduck, and Bidoof. Platinum has Tangela, Tropius, and Yanma sprinkled around a few areas. I'm going to skip the everyday Pokemon since they're all bad and common across the region. The special daily Pokemon is a list of bangers with great shinies. Roselia, Skorupi, Krogunk, Carnivine, Azurill, Execute, Kangaskhan, Yanma, Shroomish, Gulpin, Kecleon, Drapion, and Toxicroak. Every day, one of these or a Bidoof will appear in the Great Marsh with a 10% encounter rate. I recommend before Safari Week starts, you check the binoculars upstairs in the Marsh entrance for the special Pokemon. If you find the one you want, then save your game and change the date and time on your DS. Doing this will cause your game to be mad at you for time traveling like an Animal Crossing player, and will lock you out of time-based events for 24 hours, which means no berries, but also no new Safari Pokemon. I did this last year to ensure that Skorupi never stopped being my daily Pokemon during Safari Week. And did I get it? No, I got a Barrel. Besides that, Illuminate is your friend, and possibly Sweet Scent. For Repel tricks in Pokemon Platinum, I'm going to be hunting in Area 6 with a level 29 Repel for Yanma and Tangela. If you're hunting in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the ability Harvest acts just like Static, but for grass types. Sweet Scent is an instant encounter, and the shiny odds are twice as good as the originals. But you don't get the Platinum Pokemon because why would these games ever have Platinum content? There's also a bug in original Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum where Whiscash has practically a 0% chance to flee, so if you're scared to hunt in the Safari, either Super Rod for a Whiscash or head on down to Hoenn and use some Pokeblocks. The last Safari Zone is the Johto Safari Zone in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The list of encounters is so long, so I will briefly be going over some of the ones I like, and the Bulbapedia article will be in the description. So why the Johto Safari Zone? Well, the Pokemon can follow you in the overworld, the list of Pokemon is incredibly long, and you can customize the areas to your liking. And it's where I got my first Safari Week shiny ever, a Fearow that I failed, but 2 days later it came back and I caught it. The cons are that the custom Pokemon are usually very high levels and are hard to fit onto a team if you're planning a new playthrough. For the peak, you can find Magnemite and Magneton, who both have crazy encounter rates with Magnepull or Static. Geodude and Graveler can also appear, and in the morning and daytime, Magmar can appear, while at night, Wobbuffet replaces them. The list of special encounters can include Slowbro, Lairon, Zangoose, and Spheal. The desert has some incredible shinies: Cubone, Marowak, Sandslash, and Sandshrew. Some of the special encounters are Carnivine, Cacnea, Lotad, and Trapinch. The plains have Smeargle, who I really want, Rattata, Raticate, Stantler, and Girafarig. And if you're hunting Abra, make sure to pay attention since it is very subtle. Some special encounters include Houndoom, Ponyta, and Surskit. The meadow gives an insane 50% encounter rate for Jigglypuff in the morning and 30% during the day and night. Clefairy, Marill, and Hoppip are also very cute shinies. Some special Pokemon are Chansey, Nosepass, Masquerain, Riolu, and Seedot. The forest has some of the best encounters. At night, both Ghastly and Haunter are available with 20% encounter rates. Mr. Mime can be found at 20% during the day and morning, and some of the special encounters are Electabuzz, Bronzong, and if you dare risk it, Beldum with like a 0.4% capture rate. The swamp is nothing to laugh at either. Drowsy, Murkrow, Paris, Sentret, and Dratini. You could also attract a Duskull, Chimecho, Bagon, or Voltorb. The marshland. The Great Marsh? It was just a day terror. The Johto marshland includes some pretty great shinies. Ekans, Arbok, Oddish, Gloom, Grimer, Coughing, and Wheezing are all base encounters, which makes this place one of the best areas in the game. Suck on that, Sinnoh. You can also attract Jumpluff, Carnivine, Krogunk, Diglett, Bayonet, and Shuckle. So yeah, this place is just better than the Great Marsh. The mountains are home to some more basic Pokemon, but still have some bangers. Rattata, Raticate, Zubat, Golbat, Magneton, Lickitung, and Larvitar. Lickitung could be a pretty uncommon hunt to do. For some extra spice, call over Metang, Dusclops, Volbeat, Celio, or Lunatone. Are you sick of the extreme heat of the Safari Zone? Well, the Rocky Beach is an amazing area to cool off. And speaking of cool, Krabby can be found here at 30%. You can find him walking or fishing with the Old Rod. Other encounters are also fantastic. Lapras, Slowpoke, Slowbro, Doduo, and Kingler. Attract even more Kingler, or choose an Aeron, Electrike, Mareep, or Gibble. The Wasteland is for the veteran fossil fighter player who misses the allure of the intense heat and the orange sand. Here you can dig up an Onix or stumble upon a Kangaskhan, Magnemite, Machop, Machoke, or Fearow. The special encounters are Solrock, Medicham, Illumise, Skorupi, and Kingler. But for Kingler, please make sure he has enough water. The Savannah is just the revenge of Kanto, with Nidoran, Nidorino, Nidorina, Tauros, and Rhyhorn. Mostly amazing shinies, but the special encounters make it even better. Houndour, Luxio, Shroomish, Azurill, and Cacturne. Lastly, we have the Wetland. Psyduck, Golduck, Farfetch, Spearow, Sentret, Wooper, Quagsire, and Ditto are your normal encounters, Ditto being the coolest one in this area. Poliwag also appears at a 70% encounter rate while good rod fishing, while Poliwhirl is the other 30%. Some special Pokemon are Lombre, Corphish, Furret, and Shieldgon. With many different Pokemon available, both Magnet Pull and Static are useful for attracting Steel and Electric types. Very few Pokemon share customization requirements, so it's very easy to pick one Pokemon and Repel Trick for it. The step limit is removed in these games, so Illuminate is less important but still very helpful. Make sure to check out what each of your targets might want displayed. You could get lucky and double up on some encounters. For example, in the Wasteland, Breloom takes 42 forest blocks, while Medicham only takes 35, so you'll be finding them both. I tried to make these sections based on lowest level and highest encounter rate, so look around the resources in the description for the exact encounter rates for each area. Some Pokemon want more blocks than you can physically place, so how do you increase the amount of blocks? Well, when a block is placed for enough days, it levels up and will count as multiple blocks. We know time travel is forbidden in the Pokemon world, but there is a little trick in these games. If you set your time to 11:59 PM and then wait not until 12, but 12:01 or later, the game will count it as a day passing, so you can grind this to obtain the blocks you need. Now with all this information at your disposal, what are you going to hunt this year? Let me know what you're hoping to find. I am heading into each Safari Zone this year with 14 games, which is by far the most I have done at once, and I have some cool Pokemon Poacher inspired layouts for videos and possible streams. If you just can't decide, I will be making some YouTube shorts soon talking about what Pokemon I'm excited for in each Safari Zone, so make sure to subscribe for those. And while you're there, leaving a like would help a lot too, as it takes a lot of time and research to make videos like this for a side channel, so it's pretty hard to justify that time if people aren't responding to them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the Safari Zone.